And then I said, what, you think that's small? Imagine if it was 2 inches. Oh, sorry, you didn't see you there. So a while ago, I made a video on Gen X where I watched a bunch of Gen X TikToks and had a little bit of fun. And there were a lot of people that were not too happy with me. Like this person that said, Kuntz, how appropriate. Definitely not a joke I've ever heard before. Good one, Margaret. Or we had this comment, which I still have not read to this day because it would take me 2 years to get through it all. Or then we had Alan over here saying, little soy boy, I feel bad for your generation. Okay, Alan. Okay, buddy. And then I even had someone that was so offended by it that she commented multiple times, found me on Twitter, and DM'd me a screenshot of her reporting my YouTube channel to her governor. So like I said, I riled some feathers. But you see, what these beautiful people did not know is that I hate Gen Z just as much. Now, the list for why I hate my generation is way too long for me to get through, so I'm just gonna focus on this one specific area today, and that has to do with one of the newest trends on TikTok. Now, if you've never heard of an ick before, let's keep it that way. Click off this video and save yourself some trouble. Now, when you think of the word ick, you might think, oh, that's something gross. That's something stinky. That's something yucky. Like, ew, that person over there just tooted. That's icky. Or that guy's over there picking his nose. That's icky. But that's not really the way that Gen Z has been using this term. You see, when Gen Z is talking about an ick, they are talking about something that somebody does that isn't necessarily gross or disgusting or even bad. It's just something that somebody does that they find a little uncomfortable and just makes them feel kind of gross inside, makes them feel a little cringy, you know? And that's fine and all. A lot of us have specific things that we find a little weird that we just can't really tolerate. For example, if someone's rubbing up styrofoam together, I'm getting the heck out of that room. I'm leaving as soon as possible. There ain't no way I'm gonna be around that styrofoam or else I'm falling to the ground dead. So why don't I just show you what I mean?
It's like the thought of him like bumping into something and being nonchalant about it.
When you like are looking at a guy and then they trip and fall.
Pretending no one saw it.
You like see him trip and fall and then you're like, what the fuck?
It's like, get up.
It's like, what the fuck? Why are you falling?
Okay, so we are 10 seconds into the video, and so far we have learned that if you are a guy, you cannot bump into things. That is against the law. If you do so, you will never get laid. Sorry, buddy. You ever been called a klutz? Well, you've also probably been called a virgin, haven't you? It's so funny that these two are giving like such opposite examples here. Like the one who's saying, oh yeah, you can bump into things, but if you just nonchalantly like walk it off, act like you didn't bump into it, that's a bad thing. So instead, what should I like fall and ask for help? Should I click on my little life alert and call for backup? But then the other person's telling me that if I do that, then that's her ick. If I trip and fall over something, like I'm a failure. What am I gonna do? But that was just the first two. Okay, some of these other icks, they might be more reasonable. It might be something that we can all get behind, you know, like someone who doesn't shower for a month on end, you know, that I think that would be an ick.
Mommy issues, like any bad relationship with their mom.
What if he doesn't have a mom?
That's even worse.
Well, fuck me in the ass. Nah, lady, I agree. Those are some really valid points there. You know, for all the people out there that have parents that have passed away, I'm sorry, but you're just lesser than the rest of us. Oh, you don't have a mom? She passed away when you were a kid? Fuck you. You piece of shit. Just go get a new one. There's plenty of women out there. You could have just gotten a new one. Oh, sorry, you grew up without parents that loved you? Must suck. Must suck to be you. Better luck next time. If only you were as privileged as I was, then maybe I'd talk to you, but there's probably someone out there for you. There's someone out there. Definitely.
One time I was talking to this guy and someone attempted to murder him and he got hit by a car and that just like, it gave me the ick. You'd have to limp off and like cry.
This has to be staged. This has to be staged, right? There's no way that what she said is legit. I know that they aren't living in the same universe that I am. The guy you were talking to almost got murdered by getting hit by a car, and him limping away was the ick. Actually, you know what? The more I think about it, the more she has a point. I think that if you were to get hit by a car, I think that what you should do instead is just not limp off. I think that you should just like fly. I think you should just fly up. Because I'm sure if you laid there and you were in pain, that would also be the ick because you're not manly enough to, you know, get up and walk it off. But also if you're walking it off, you're limping. So either way, you're kind of being a little bitch. So instead, I think that if you got hit by a car, you should just fly. You should just fly away. Fly up and away. Never to speak to that woman again because she doesn't deserve love.
They're trying to cross and then they fall off the curb and the skateboard goes flying and they're chasing after, you know, with their little walk.
Is there like an alternative of what they could or should do, or are they just if they stumble?
Yeah, they're
So what I think we've learned here is that walking is very important to women. Listen, you might be able to talk the talk, but can you walk the walk? That's what it all boils down to. So if you ever bump into anything, just don't bump into things. If you ever fall off of your skateboard, just don't fall off your skateboard. And if you do fall off your skateboard, then maybe don't run after it, because the way that you run after your skateboard makes you look like a little pussy. So maybe just watch. Maybe just watch the skateboard go. Watch it go down the hill. Maybe it'll hit a pedestrian on the way down. And then, you know what? Just go buy yourself a new one. There's no point in going to grab it now because nobody likes you anyway. But that was just one video. And you know, sometimes in street interviews, not everybody's completely honest. Sometimes before they hit record, they'll like tell the person to say a specific thing. Do I think that that was the case in that instance? Probably not, but it could be. So let's go to some other videos and let's see what they're also saying.
You look so dumb right now.
Me when someone pours a perfect glass of beer. I just imagine the person on the other side of the camera just seething, just foaming at the mouth at watching this man pour a perfect glass of beer. Just something so heinous as pouring beer. Oh my God.
What is y'all's biggest ick in the guy?
But you're short as shit.
I feel you right there. I hate those short kings. What are you doing short? Just fucking grow up. Just get taller. Stop being short. That's what I say to myself every day in the mirror.
So dumb right now.
Okay, everybody, I hope that you are writing these down because you are also no longer allowed to ride a bike. That is a big no-no. And let's look at this. This has 2.9 million likes. Granted, did I have a little chuckle after watching this for the first time? I might have, because normally you aren't recording people just casually riding a bike behind them, so it's not something you see every day. But would I ever post this to the internet calling it an ick with a person that I'm hanging out with? No, that's mean. Like, that's just mean. This guy probably never hopped on a bike ever again after that, which is a shame because it looked like he was actually enjoying himself and having fun. And the amount of comments that agree with this. LMAO, this might be the most valid ick I've ever seen. Men riding bikes gives me the ick all the time. And then we have this video, which has 1.5 million likes. Judging from their TikTok page, they look like they're a happy couple. I don't think that TikTok in particular ruined their relationship or anything. Hell, I even got a slight chuckle out of it when I saw it for the first time. But if that was my girlfriend in this situation, I will be damned if I ever walk in front of her while hiking ever again.
What's your biggest ick?
When a guy is putting their blinker on, I just feel like that's such a feminine thing to do. Like,
I'm with you there. I also hate it when guys follow basic traffic laws. I also hate it when they don't follow traffic laws. So basically, guys, just stop driving. How about that? If there's anything this world needs, it's more women drivers. That's a joke. That's a joke. I'm kidding. I am an ally.
New ick unlocked. New ick alert. If you have a crush, you're trying to get rid of the feels. Just imagine him tying his shoe. And he's like, you put the bunny through the loop and it goes in the hole. Stop that!
Me when I see someone tying their shoe. These are all so weird. Like, it's literally everything that people do in regular day-to-day life. I don't understand this. Like, whenever I watch this one here, this lady is explaining ways to get over your ex, so just imagine them doing these things. And it's just stuff that people do in day-to-day life.
Imagine him taking a bite out of something that's too hot and he has to do that. Disgusting. Imagine he dropped a dollar coin or a receipt that blows away in the wind and he chases after it. Imagine someone opening the door for him and he has to do that awkward little run. Anything at the barber. Imagine the barber like pumping up his little seat or spinning him around to do that big reveal and he's wearing that silly little cape.
This is just living. This is just part of living. I could just say literally anything and call it an ick and get 10,000 likes on TikTok. This is just all stuff that people do in regular day-to-day life. You can't escape the icks. It's like when you're having a nightmare and you're trying to run away, but you're like running away in slow motion and all the icks are just piling up behind you, just coming at you full force. You can't escape them. I feel like one of the main reasons that this trend is so popular is because of people like her that are trying to imagine their exes in these positions because they're trying to cope with the fact that they aren't in that relationship anymore. So they just want to think about how weird their ex might have been by acting like a normal human. Now, would they ever do any of these things? Yes, they would, because it's something that everybody has done at least once in your life. Everybody has tied their shoes. I'm sure that people have dropped change and picked it up. I'm sure that you've bumped into things, and I'm sure that you've probably walked it off. And that's okay for them to do, but just not anybody else. Now, with all the icks on here, there are a couple that I did not see that I wanted to add to the list. So here, let me read them off to you. Breathing, blinking when they drink water. Yikes. When they hop into the shower, like just the way that people, like just the way that guys walk into the shower. Yeah, it gives me the ick. Also, when they don't shower, what do we have here? It says max. It just says max. What the fuck? And don't get me wrong, there are some icks that are valid on here. Some of them actually make sense. Like one person says when a guy cuts you off when you're talking.
Hey, what's your biggest ick?
Whenever girls are talking in class and guys just like cut them off right in the middle of speaking.
Or like another person said when you're talking to someone and they're trying to tell you how you're feeling. So basically like mansplaining.
Hey, what's your biggest ick?
When people try to tell me like how I'm supposed to feel about something or how I'm feeling, like how you gonna tell me if I'm mad?
So all of these things are pretty valid, but there are so many other things that are just so basic and immature, and you have to have the brain of a child to think is an actual ick and as an actual turnoff. And if it is a turnoff, well, then you probably shouldn't be dating in the first place, because you obviously don't like people in general. Because if we're being honest, there are actual icks out there. You know, there are things that people do that are annoying, that are mean, that are just bad. Like for me, I could not date someone that does not shower for a month. For me, that would be an ick, because not only would it be gross, but it would also be icky. It would be stinky. It would be pooey. And I don't want that, because I feel like personal hygiene is something that you should probably keep up. So I'm not going to act like there aren't genuine icks out there, but so many of these other icks are just regular day-to-day things that everybody does, that you can't escape from. Like, what do you want me to do? But I think the thing that irritates me most about this trend is that Gen Z always wants to act like they care so much about mental health, saying things like you shouldn't feel bad about needing help. It's something that most people need. But then they'll turn around and do things like this, where they'll just reinforce all these insecurities onto people. And then you wonder why all these young men are falling down these deep, dangerous rabbit holes of listening to people like Andrew and Tristan Tate, who are literally sex traffickers. But because they are what we would traditionally call as confident and manly, it's what all these guys look up to, because if they're not manly, then they must be gay. I'm no longer riding a bike anymore because that's gay, which is something that most guys shouldn't feel bad about. But whenever you are confidently reinforcing their insecurities, like tripping over the sidewalk, then yeah, they're going to try to look up ways on how to fix that. How can they not bump into the sidewalk? And then that leads them down a very dangerous and dark path. Like, this is just so fucking annoying. I don't want to hear that you care about mental health if you are making a video on people's icks. I hate this trend so much, and I know I might be in the minority when I say this. You might be like, Max, you're overreacting. They're just goofing around. They're just having a little fun. And I can get behind some of that. I think that the guy hiking down the hill with his girlfriend, I thought that that was funny, and they're actually in a relationship, so it's not like she was like actually like offending him or anything. It was all in good fun. But when you're making fun of guys that are just dealing with minor inconveniences in their regular day-to-day life, and you're calling it an ick, like it turns you off or something, like, ew, no, 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 get away, that's icky, that's gross. I don't like the way that he's jumping over there. It looks too feminine. I think that's a little gay. He looks a little gay. That's pretty gay. Don't get mad when these guys are repeating the same traditionalist ideologies about women, because you're doing the same thing to them. This is like the same thing that guys do when they see like a masculine woman. I've seen so many guys on the internet just shit on women with muscles, because that's not how a woman is supposed to look. They're not supposed to be that fit, that jacked. No, give me a nice petite small woman. Like, it's that same idea, just on the other side.
Imagine a boy putting sheets on a bed and it like falling off and they have to fix it. Ick.
These people are just bringing back these same caveman ideas about what it is to be a man, which is so fucking lame, bro. It's basically like the equivalent of saying life was so much better back in the day when men were men and women were women. Back when us men were out there in the fields, when we were out to war, and the women stayed in the kitchen where they belonged. And I'd come home after a hard day at work, and she would just make the most minor inconvenience to piss me off, so I would just have to beat her until I got a domestic abuse charge on me. Those were the days. And listen, am I impacted by any of these videos in particular? No, for two reasons. One, I'm a f***ing adult. And 2, I get called homosexual on the daily, and I don't care, because deep down, I know who I am, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, and that's how it should be for everybody. But what I do hate about this trend so much is that it will inevitably affect a lot of young people, and it just reinforces so much of the traditionalist ideas that we are, I thought, trying to put away with, but apparently we're not. And it's so f***ing annoying, especially when we live in a day and age when a lot of people have anxiety, they have depression, everybody's insecure as it is. You're just making the problem so much worse. But yeah, that was my little rant. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you'll join me in the next video when I kiss Mr. Beast on the lips. Goodbye!